This is GPS, the Global Public Square. Welcome to all of you in the United States and around the world. I'm Zakaria. This week, a man named Chas Freeman, a man with a long and distinguished career in the U.S. Foreign Service, withdrew his name from consideration to be the chairman of the National Intelligence Council, a key intelligence job. In doing so, he blamed, and I quote here, the Israel lobby for his decision to pull his own nomination. He accused the so-called Israel lobby of character assassination, a willful distortion of the record, and an utter disregard of the truth. Strong charges. His opponents, of course, had strong charges of their own, accusing him of anti-Israeli bias, even anti-Semitism. To answer these charges and to discuss these issues, Chas Freeman is my guest today. Now, in making these accusations, Freeman has pushed to the forefront a topic that previously had been discussed only among academics, policy wonks, and bloggers. And even there, it's been controversial. The basic charge is that lobbies supporting Israel wield too much power, which results in the U.S. blindly supporting Israel even when it's wrong. The counter is that there are many lobbies in Washington on guns, Cuba, entitlement programs, and to single out pro-Israeli groups is unfair. There are many who argue that even the term Israel lobby conjures up an image of a Jewish conspiracy. To discuss this issue and others, I will be talking to the man at the center of the controversy, Chas Freeman, in just a moment. Also on GPS today, the former Secretary of the Treasury, Paul O'Neill, with some very tough words about the Obama administration. And then a conversation about President Obama's first 50 days with some great thinkers. So stay with us. And joining me now, Ambassador Chas Freeman. Welcome on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
Let me first ask you, you don't feel that you were pushed out by the White House or you were forced out. This was your decision.
It was my decision with Admiral Blair, and I frankly find it very amusing that politicians are lining up to claim credit for having assassinated me.
Well, let's talk about the one politician who has publicly taken credit for your withdrawal is Senator Charles Schumer from New York. Do you think that he was instrumental in any way?
I have no reason to believe he was. I'm sure he did talk to Rahm Emanuel and others at the White House, as he said he did, but I have no reason to believe that that had any particular influence on the decision. It certainly didn't have any influence on my decision, and it was ultimately my decision.
The issue that he raised, that Charles Schumer raised, and the issue that you raised in your statement was about Israel. There were a few surrounding issues that people raised, but the heart of the matter seemed to be that a number of people felt that you were overly critical of Israel. And you described the forces that got you out as the Israel lobby. Describe what you mean by the Israel lobby and describe what you think they did.
Well, the Israel lobby is a term that's in general use. I think it isn't a terribly accurate name. It probably should be called the Likud lobby or the Israel Beitena lobby. It's the far right wing of the Jewish community here in alliance with the far right wing in Israel. I don't think that I've been in any respect excessively or unreasonably critical of Israel. I think I have been critical of Israeli policy. And the atmosphere is such in this country now that whereas Israelis in Israel routinely criticize policies they think may prove to be suicidal for their country, those who criticize the same policies here for the same reasons are subject to political reprisal.
But your feeling is that you could see the hand of supporters of Israel, supporters of the right wing in Israel, as you describe it, in derailing your nomination or raising the controversy. You said in your statement, you said the emails make it clear, the blogs make it clear.
No, and this morning, indeed, there were various postings by the organizations that organized the campaign. The Zionist Organization of America, for example, detailing or setting out in considerable detail how they organized research to find material that they could use to agitate first congressmen who were sympathetic to them and later others on various issues. And of course they do not admit, but it is a fact that they engaged in a truly libelous campaign of selective misquotation and distortion and fabrication of facts that are absolutely not real.
Let me just read the quote, because I think many people will want to hear more about how you think about this. You said, "We have paid heavily and often in treasure in the past for our unflinching support and unstinting subsidies of Israel's approach to managing its relations with the Arabs. 5 years ago, we began to pay with the blood of our citizens here at home." And the 5 years ago, of course, refers to 9/11. So you see our support for Israel as having produced a kind of a tidal wave of hostility that then in some way did cause 9/11. Isn't it fair to say?
I think we are paying a price because our actions have catalyzed, perhaps not caused, but catalyzed a radicalization of Arab and Muslim politics that facilitates the activities of terrorists with global reach like those who struck us on 9/11.
But you can see why people who support Israel or perhaps American Jews would be perturbed by that statement. Do you wish you hadn't written it in retrospect or said it?
No, I stand by what I said, and I think it's unfair to put American Jews all in one camp. There's a very large number of American Jews who have written to me to express their gratitude for my raising the issues I have raised about Israeli policy. And there is a movement that insists that these actions not be carried out in the name of Judaism or the American Jewish community. I think one of the great ironies in this situation is that, in my experience, the bravest and most outspoken people are against these policies of the Israeli government and establishment are Jews. Why? Because American Jews feel a deep commitment to the continued survival of Israel, and they see, and they also identify with it, and they don't want to see that survival jeopardized or the moral standing of the Jewish state compromised in the way that it has been.
You know that when you say things like, when you refer to the Israel lobby, for some Jews, certainly not all, it conjures up the idea that you are in some way insinuating a kind of Jewish conspiracy, and it has led people to loosely use the word anti-Semitic when describing you. How do you feel when you hear those charges?
I feel deeply insulted. The last thing on earth I am is anti-Semitic. They're Jewish members of my family, although I'm not Jewish. I have great respect for Judaism and its adherents. I also, frankly, have a lot of respect for Israel. And I'm sorry to see it so badly corrupted by the occupation and to see its values so badly damaged by the settlement process in the occupied territories. The humane spirit that Israel used to evoke is now replaced by something else.